up against Lehighton, had a rough go of it. Everybody's down on them. They came back, played real tough, real solid down the stretch. So is this? What do we make of this game?
Well, I mean, this is a game where last year things started unraveling for Schuylkill Haven and never really stopped. And when we kind of took a step back and said, "Oh, what's going on with Schuylkill Haven?" So they obviously don't want that repeat. Last year they beat Panther Valley in a tough opener, and then they stumbled a little bit. So they're going to have that in the back of their mind. Mont area obviously going to look to bounce back after their loss. Tough to pick a winner in this one. I just think it's going to be a real close football game.
Yeah, I mean, Coop's boy Dolsky last week played well.
Yep.
Even against he had some nice rushing numbers, and I think this game is real important for the District 11 Single A picture.
It's huge.
I think I'll go out on a limb and say whoever wins this game is going to be a team that qualifies for districts. And I think that Schuylkill Haven is a much better team than they were last year. Not so much talent wise, but they have more camaraderie, I believe. And we've touched on that, and Coach Forrest touched on it, saying the chemistry just wasn't there. They didn't have it, and it showed. I think they have it this year, and I think Mono has a little bit more playmakers, but I'll take Haven this week.
Schuylkill Haven's not so one-dimensional this year either. Mm-hmm. They'll throw it with Lozada, and he's very comfortable throwing the football, and he throws the ball well. So they'll still ground and pound when they have to, especially when they're in their clock-killing mode. But you can't just line up 8-9 guys in the box anymore. You got to respect Lozada. He has some playmakers on the outside. His running backs come out of the backfield, catch the ball very well. So more well-rounded team. This will probably get down to Mason, Ryan, Daniel, Lozada. Whoever plays better, I think we'll get a W here.
Yeah, I'm gonna also say that Haven takes care of business, and I think the up front. I think Haven just has it up front over Monty right now, and over time I think that'll gel for Monty. But early in the year, I think you got to go with the horses that Haven has up front, and they did a fantastic job week one of getting things going for their rushing game, which opened things up for Lozada in the passing game. Next, Lehighton at Minersville. Expect Lehighton to keep rolling.
Yeah, things don't get any easier for Minersville here. It's a tough matchup. Lehighton's very talented. Should be over by halftime.
Yeah, tough one for Minersville again. Lehighton got some big boys up front. Got some team speed defense all over the place, and they had that big playability that we talked about that is so crushing to some of these smaller teams because it's just hard for them to bounce back and fight back after that. So I would go Indians in a rout.
Did we just on a side note, any numbers on Chambers last week? Was he a factor? Your guy to watch?
Yes, he was my guy to watch. I
just didn't hear any numbers or see anything.
I did not.
Okay.
I did not.
I did not either.
I know with the game being out of hand, they probably didn't have to throw much, but I just wondered if he was targeted or if. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that for this week.
Yeah, and that's one of the games, and we're typically seeing about 4 games a week. Each of us will have an opportunity to see a game, and then we'll get to see 1, maybe 2 on film. That's one I didn't see.
I didn't get a chance to look up any stats either, so we'll keep an eye on him this week.
All right, our next game, Marion at Panther Valley. Backyard rival, always one of my favorite. I should say one of mine. It's my favorite game of the year. It is. Regardless of the sport, it's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun. It's kids that grew up together. It's kids that know each other. Kids that are neighbors. It's 2 passionate fan bases. And, it's always super crowded, super intense. For a long time, it was back and forth, and you always say, hey, you can throw out the records in this. And for a long time, it kind of was like that. You'd have upsets along the way. Marion had the upper hand there for a little bit going into the late 2006, 2007. Panther Valley then was able to rattle off 3 in a row from 2008 to 2010. Mm-hmm. That was when Casey Lawrence and Ryan Richards and that crew were juniors and seniors. But then the following year, Nick McGardle, my boy Nick, led the big upset at Panther Valley. They were 1-9 that year, and that was their one win in 2010. Yep. And then that was, I don't want to say that was the norm, but those types of games were kind of the regular. Since then now, Marion has rattled off the last 4. So we had 3 in a row for PV, 4 in a row now for Marion. Prior to that, we had a lot of back and forth.
Yeah.
So, one of our Twitter questions: can the Panthers compete with Marion? Specifically, it said, do you think the Panthers could actually compete with Marion, or are you and Coop just Panther homers? That was actually the question. So that's specifically what it said. So anyway, we'll go to the non-Panther first. Charles, what do you think?
We were talking about it before. I mean, I would like to give PV a shot in this one. I think that they're much improved this year. I think they're gonna fight and they're gonna compete. on defense. But I think the issue is Marion has such big playability that every time either KJ Stern or one of those guys touches the ball, they can take it the distance. And I just don't think Panther Valley right now at this point in the year has the explosiveness on offense to counteract that. So say Marion jumps out to a quick 14-0 lead, it's going to take Panther Valley some time to be able to put a scoring drive together. I don't think they're going to have that one bang play to get them back in the ball game.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it there, Brad. And I think Panther Valley, will they compete? Yes. Will they keep Marion off the scoreboard? No. They're too talented offensively. So the key is going to be, can they respond? Now, last week they did it once, but then that was it. So for Panther Valley to compete in this game, they're going to have to match points. They're going to put some points on the board. You're going to have to score 3 or 4 touchdowns if you're going to be in this game. So offensively, they can get it done. They can compete. But it's a big if over the last season or so of what they can do offensively. I thought Gilberry played well last week in his quarterback debut. But they have to can they get consistent and put points on the board? That'll be the key.
Yeah, I think, Coach Davis has talked about his senior class and how happy he was with their work ethic, their effort, the pride that they have taken in trying to get this thing on the right track. Mm-hmm. With that being said, you have a group of kids who a lot of teams have come along the way have had their moment in this rivalry at some point. Yeah. Hasn't at this point there isn't anyone on the roster that has had that.
Right. Can
they get over that? Can they get over that mental aspect? I think that's a very big part of it.
Yeah. And
from a football aspect, I got to see Marion, up close this week. They're good. They're good. Right. KJ Snurr, one of the most talented running backs in the league. Ethan Kaczynski, one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league, and a lot of depth. They're bringing guys. They're bringing guys in with their second unit that would start for a lot of teams in the league. So it's the Panthers obviously have their work cut out for them. However, when you look at that 1 through 12 and 1 through 13 and that first group that's going out there, they got to think that they can compete. Mm-hmm. And based on what we saw against Haven in spurts, that's something that I certainly think that they're going to be able to do. So can they maintain that? Can they bounce back when something doesn't go right? Because that didn't happen last year.
Right. And
we talked about it on the show when things snowballed against the Colts a little bit. The Colts stepped on their throats and we saw a lot of heads hanging for PV. So how will they bounce back when KJ Snurr busts a big one? Because it's
gonna happen.
Yeah, those types of things happen when you're playing the Colts.
Yep.
So, but hey, it's always a great atmosphere. It's going to be a fun game. You may be there.
I may be there. As of now, I'm at Jim Thorpe, but there could be I'm at Shenandoah, but there could be a schedule change. So, right now, though, it will be on WSH on the AM 1410. We're not quite definite yet who the announcer will be.
Okay, but we'll be on 1410.
We'll be on 1410.
We'll be on 1410. Yeah. Okay, great to know. So, next, that brings us to our game of the week. We are going with Blue Mountain at North Schuylkill. Blue Mountain taking a big step up in competition from last week. Mm-hmm. North Schuylkill, Bobby Grigg is the big question mark. I mean, that's the key right now. I mean, as much as we want to bounce this back and forth and talk about all these different intangibles and this and that, if Bobby Grigg is North Schuylkill with Bobby Grigg, without Bobby Grigg, that's huge.
Yeah, I like the Spartans at home. Even without Bobby Grigg, I still like them to pull it out. I think Blue Mountain will keep it close within a touchdown, 2 touchdowns throughout the whole night. I don't think this will be a blowout by any means, but I like the Spartans. A game like last week, not only is it a credit to how hard these kids have worked, but it's like, hey, even though Bobby wasn't out there with us, and we had to step up, and we had to go out there, and we had to play without him. Mm-hmm. But hey, we can do that. If we got to do it, we can do it. And they learned that last week. Hey, when we're out here, we're a better team, and Bobby's one of our leaders. But if something does happen to him, we all know that now we can band together and beat a tough, strong team. And they're going to be playing a tough, strong team again this week, and with another week to prepare. So that whoever that second quarterback is getting a little bit more reps this week because of with Grigus getting injured. So they'll be a little bit more comfortable if they're put in that situation. So I like the Spartans. I think it'll be a tough game, a gritty game, a great test for North Schuylkill early on, but I still like North Schuylkill.
Yeah, I agree. I think last week, Tamaka played well, no doubt about it, but a lot of penalties from North Schuylkill, some uncharacteristic things from them. I think they'll clean that up this week. At home opener, the place is going to be rocking. Blue Mountain's going to travel well. It's going to be a great atmosphere. I did the game last year at Blue Mountain. It was fabulous atmosphere, and I expect it to be the same this week at North Schuylkill. Real interested to see what Mason Freed does against this defense. You know, with Major Jordan battling down at you and Pat Gownley roaming around in the secondary, you know, how if he can keep the composure, you know, making only his third start and still hit receivers and make things happen offensively, he'll keep Blue Mountain in the game. But I think North Schuylkill will win this one.
I agree. So, no argument there. I think North Schuylkill, I thought they showed a lot of toughness, a lot of grit in week one, and I think they continue to take care of business this week, especially at home. Backtracking a bit about the Colts. Coach Stan DeCosta right now sitting at 297 wins after their win against Williams Valley, one of the legends of the state of Pennsylvania. And if you look ahead at the schedule, there's a chance that if both of these teams continue to win, North Schuylkill and Marion, you're looking at a week 4 matchup with North Schuylkill and Marion, with both of them undefeated, and Coach DeCosta at 299 wins. So that's something, looking ahead a couple weeks, that's something that's out there if both of these teams continue to take care of business.
Some nice foreshadowing there, something to look forward to.
Yeah, what the
We
heck?
might have to, if that happens, we might have to take our show on the road that week.
We're up here at Mount Jefferson, the shed at Mount Jeff, back at headquarters again this week due to time constraints because of the short week, but we are going to be getting this show on the road shortly, we promise. So let's assume that the Anthracite Football League is the college football playoff system in place. Who's your 4 teams right now in?
I mean, like I said before, I like North Schuylkill, I like Lehighton, I like Marion, and I like Blue Mountain, with Jim Thorpe and Tamaqua right there on the edge, kind of like Baylor and TCU were last year. It just comes down to some points there. It comes down to some computer polls in my eyes. But those are my 4 right now. As far as Jim Thorpe goes, calm down, everybody. Like Pat said, pump the brakes. If you were up there in North Schuylkill, pump the brakes, Jim Thorpe. I want to see how that offensive line plays against the big dogs when you get to Tamaqua and then that Week 7 matchup or Week 8 matchup with North Schuylkill and Blue Mountain. I just need to see a little bit more before I get them into that playoff. If I was the Condoleezza Rice of this thing, considering somehow she's on that. I don't know why. I don't know why Condoleezza Rice is on the college football playoff board, but she is for some reason.
Well, we made up the AFL playoffs.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
on the committee.
Yeah, all right, cool.
What do you got?
I like North Schuylkill, Lehighton, Marion. Not completely sold on Blue Mountain yet, so I'll put Blue Mountain and Jim Thorpe as my 2 teams battling to get that 4th spot.
Okay.
I gotta see more.
Pick one.
Blue Mountain.
All right.
I gotta see more Mason Freed, but I think he's talented. I think Blue Mountain.
Okay.
I'll go Blue Mountain. So I'm gonna agree with Brad again. It's happened a lot tonight.
All right.
We don't like this.
I'm going to go the same, except I'm going to put Thorpe in 4 now.
Oh,
Instead of Blue Mountain.
There you go.
I'm going to put Thorpe in 4 now. So I'm going to go with the Olympians, and the Olympian Homer is not. Just so
Remember that Jim Thorpe? Fancy Jim Thorpe.
Yeah.
But and it's close.
Yeah.
I think Blue Mountain, Jim Thorpe are very close right there. Just based on what we saw in week 1. I think Minersville, like I said, we expected them to be much improved. And I think they still might be. I think Jim Thorpe just had that impressive of a performance. So, week 2, that is our show. Thanks a lot for joining us. If you're out at any games this week, feel free to shoot us a text shoot us a message on Twitter. We'll retweet it so everybody can know what's going on, what's the scores. Hurls, what game we be at this week?
Actually, I'm off this week. We have enough guys, so now that I'm part time, I don't have to work Friday. But I'm gonna go to the Panther Valley Marion game.
So now I'll be down in Shenandoah for Shenandoah Jim Thorpe.
Okay, I actually will not be at a game this week. I will be in Virginia, hoping that the Notre Dame Fighting Irish get win number 2 and get a little closer to that real playoff system.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
college football. So I'm expecting to get a lot of updates from you guys.
All right.
Also remember, this Friday night when you're watching football, it'll be 9/11. Okay, keep that in your thoughts. We put a little tribute to that back there behind us. I know. I'm guessing some of the team or some of the fans coming up be encouraged to wear some red, white, and blue to the games, things like that. So interesting night playing on 9/11.
Quick shout out. Last week was Brian Kennedy. This week, Richard Culp, R.C. Culp, former teacher at Panther Valley, currently teaching at Northwestern Lehigh, also an assistant football coach. Big fan of the show, watches all the time. Northwestern Lehigh matching up with these AFL teams in the playoffs, so he's keeping an eye on things weekly. Thanks a lot for watching. This is Pat Cramsey with me, John Cooper, Brad Hurley, TNT Coal Region Football. That's our Week 2 show. Thanks for joining us.
Now.
TNT. Oi! Oi!